Hey guys, it's your average middle-aged American back again with another reaction video. This one is part 2 of Italy, or 100 places to see in Italy. Kind of broke it up so it wouldn't be a really long video. And yeah, that's where we're at. If you haven't seen part 1, you need to see it. It's an amazing place. A lot of the part 1 is on the coast. And this, I got to tell you, I mean, Italy does not disappoint. I'm not real familiar with Italy, and I thought Germany was beautiful. I still think Germany's beautiful. Some people say Italy's more beautiful. I'm sure that's an opinion that Germans don't hold. I'm sure it's an opinion Italians hold, but regardless, they're both beautiful. So, enough jibber jabber. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that button. Doesn't hurt you. Helps me quite a bit. And thumbs up goes a long way. And please use the comment section. I'll take constructive criticism, have civil dialogues. We can talk about the difference between America and Italy, whatever you want to do. Just keep it civil, okay, guys? I do appreciate all of you. Really appreciate my subscribers. They've grown the channel pretty rapidly, and I really couldn't be happier. So thanks to all of you guys. I really mean that. We don't have to agree on everything, but we can agree on the fact that I do appreciate you. All right, enough of that. Let's go.
Another really cool nearby place is Sacra di San Michele. It's located about 45 minutes from Turin. It's known as the symbolic monument of the Piedmont region, and the foundation of the abbey was set in the year 966 and completed in the 13th century. Now, if you want to escape into nature, you could visit the Cascata del Pis. It's located about an hour and a half from Turin and about a 3-kilometer round-trip hike. The waterfall is massive as it descends down the Italian Alps. Now, if you're into wines, you can visit the hilly area of Langhe. It's full of rolling vineyards and hilltop towns. The region is famous for its wines, cheeses, and truffles, particularly the white truffles of Alba. Now, I also love castles that dot the hills.
That's so
One of
cool.
my favorites is the 14th century castle of Serralunga.
So cool. I mean, somebody built that thing 600 or 700 years ago. It just blows my mind. Now, are all these government owned? Are any of this, these castles privately owned, family owned? Like the one in Germany? I think it was called the Eltz Castle, which is still family owned in Germany. See, I'm learning. Let me know.
Alba. Afterwards, we're going to head over to visit the island of Ponza. Now, before the summer, I had no idea this island existed, but after seeing some videos of this place, I had to go see it in person. It's located off the west coast of Italy, and it took about a 2-hour ferry ride to get there. Now, Ponza is full of history. It was a popular island during Roman times, with many ruins and tunnels that still exist today. One of the best ways to see Ponza is by boat. We rented one and cruised around the whole island. I was just baffled by the volcanic cliffs and endless coves and grottos. One of my favorite memories of the island was just anchoring in this little cove and spending hours there swimming and enjoying the Mediterranean sun. It's just hard to beat that lifestyle. One of the most famous places on the island is Caia di Luna Beach. It's known for its massive white cliffs and a beach shaped like the crescent moon. You can get there by boat, or there is an ancient Roman tunnel you can walk through. I just can't believe how big the cliffs are. Ponza is such a special island. After, we're going to head back to Sardinia to visit Porto Flavia. It's located about an hour's drive from Cagliari. Now, Porto Flavia is an incredibly beautiful harbor with a unique mine that has a tunnel coming out of a cliff to transport minerals into a boat. It was completed in 1924 and was quite the engineering feat. And just such a unique location, and it doesn't even look real to me. Now, another cool place in Sardinia is the area around the Tavolara Island. It's just about a 30-minute drive from Umbria, and this is where I stayed during my time in Sardinia. The island is pretty big and is a perfect place to boat around and snorkel. There's also great beaches such as Porto Taverna that offers great views of the Tavolara Island. Now, another cool spot on Sardinia's northern coast is Cala Spinosa. It's located about an hour's drive from Umbria, and you'll be able to see Corsica from there. The beach is really beautiful with its boulders contrasted with crystal blue waters. I mean, it's hard to beat Sardinia's countless Mediterranean coves. After Sardinia, we're going to northern Italy to visit the Dolomites. I spent several weeks exploring the Dolomites, and I consider it to be some of the greatest days of my life.
He spent several weeks exploring this one section. God, I hope he never gets hurt. He just runs up the side of mountains and jumps off cliffs, and I mean, it's great video, but God, I just one slip, man, and it's over. That's how you know you're old. He's enjoying the view. I'm thinking about the hospital. But seriously, I mean, you could trip or anything.
Visit the Dolomites. I spent several weeks exploring the Dolomites, and I consider it to be some of the greatest days of my life. One of my favorite places in the Dolomites is Seceta. The green grass slopes contrasted with the jagged mountain ridge makes for one of the most unbelievable landscape combos in the world. Now, to get to Seceta, I took 2 gondolas up the mountain and made it to the top. When I got there, the clouds covered half the mountain, making it for one of the best views I've ever gotten. I mean, places like this just really spark your imagination and make you feel like a kid again. I hope everyone can witness the power of Seceta at least once in a life. Now, another magical place nearby is Alpe Susi. It's home to the largest high alpine meadow in Europe. The backdrop of the Sassolungo mountain with the farm huts creates a scene.
That doesn't even look real. I mean, that just looks like somebody airbrushed, you know, something. Or I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying it's unbelievable. It's like Lord of the Rings kind of stuff or something. I don't know. I don't watch all those type of movies much, but I mean, just the colors. It's almost like you're dreaming. It's kind of mystical, you know. I don't know how to explain it. It's wild.
Straight out of a dream. Now, the mountains that you see in Alpe Susi are called the Sassolungo group. It's one of the most impressive massives I've ever seen. When I was there, I decided to take a one-man chairlift up to the top, and I was blown away by the views.
One-man chairlift? You can't even take your wife or your buddy? It's just one per person? I mean, one car per person? That's neat.
I like to call this place the Black Gates of Mortar because that's what it reminded me of. Anyways, there's a little refuge on top, and it's a great place to go climbing and exploring. When I got down to the bottom, I drove around the area to see if I could catch the sunset, and I was able to get some of the most dramatic shots that I've ever taken. Now, while you're there, you can take a drive on the Gardena Pass. It connects Val Gardena to Val Badia, and it's definitely one of Italy's most beautiful drives as you're surrounded by mountains on both sides. I mean, road trips don't get much better than cruising through the Dolomites. One of the most beautiful valleys in the Dolomites is Val de Funes. I remember seeing pictures of this place before I ever went to the Dolomites, and I just couldn't believe it was real. The valley is home to some of Italy's most beautiful churches, surrounded by scenery straight out of a fairy tale. When I was there, the mountains were covered by the clouds, but I still was able to witness one of the valley's most...
All right, guys, let me know if you've been here or been around that area. Is the grass really this color? I mean, it's got that much saturation in it, or has this all been kind of photoshopped and hyped up and, you know, super contrast, HDR, whatever? Let me know, because I am curious, and I have no way to know whether it's accurate or not. On my monitor, I mean, it's like neon green. My other monitor, it's a little less green, but it's still pretty darn in-your-face green. Let me know.
Most picturesque churches. I mean, truly an incredible spot.
That's cool.
Now, after, we're going to head over to Lago di Bre.
See, that's what my pool looks like. I gotta run my filter for like 48 hours straight or something. In the last video, they were in the water, and I said it looked like a pool, but not my pool. That's more like what my pool looks like. It's clean and it's blue, but it's not clear.
Now this is probably the most popular lake in all of Dolomites. It's a milky blue color with a backdrop of towering mountains. When I was here, I hadn't showered in days, so I decided to take a plunge in the lake. Nothing makes you feel more alive than jumping into some glacial water. If you come, you can walk around the rim of the lake or even take a boat out. I mean, it's really a special place. Another great mountain pass is the Passo Giao. The top of the pass is located about 30 minutes outside of Cortina d'Ampezzo. One of my favorite features of the pass is the view of the Ra Gustula Peak. It marks the highest point of the pass and towers over a hotel and restaurant. Now, another really cool spot in the area is called Cinque Torri. Now, it's a set of 5 rock towers that poke out of the mountain. You can hike there from the Giao Pass, but a more easier route would be to take the chairlift from Baiti va da Donnes. The Cinque Torri is also where a World War I conflict took place between Italians and Austro-Hungarian troops. Another spectacular spot in the area is Lago Federa. It's about a 10-kilometer hike to the lake, and you'll be rewarded with unbelievable views. If you go in October, the larches around the lake may have turned a stunning gold color. Now, another incredible rock formation in the Dolomites is the Vajolette Towers. It's a set of rock spires in the Catenaccio mountain group. The hike to the towers is somewhat challenging, but well worth the effort. It makes for a great day hike, and you can also spend the night at the refuge right at the base of the towers. Now, one of my favorite lakes in the Dolomites is Lago di Sorapis. Now, I guess you could call it the little brother of Lago di Bray. It's this little alpine lake with striking milky blue colors. The hike to get there is around 11 kilometers round trip, and even though it's a little challenging getting there, the alpine lake is well worth the trek. Now, one of the most iconic places in the Dolomites is Trecime di Lavaredo. It's a set of 3 massive rock pillars that tower over the landscape. I love this area so much that I spent 4 days exploring here. I did one of the most epic sunrise missions of my life as I reached the top of the mountain to watch the sun slowly light up the Trecime di Lavaredo rocks. There's also this incredible area I like to call.
I mean, think about the memories this guy's gonna have the rest of his life. You know, I'm 53 years old and I'm looking forward to, you know, exploring Europe a little bit. Not backpacking and camping out on top of mountains and all that, but you know, exploring Europe, seeing what else is out there besides America. You know, we've been to Canada, we've been to Mexico, we've spent a lot of time in the Caribbean, but we've never been to Europe. Can't wait. Can't wait. And I know it's going to be multiple trips, and we'll end up seeing 1 or 2% of everything. But think about, I mean, he just spends weeks and weeks at a time in one area of one country, going up to, you know, like this. I mean, imagine that in person. You know, and he's got to be 20 something, you know, 28 maybe. And he'll have those memories the rest of his life. Check out his videos. If you haven't gone to his channel, you got to go check it out. It really is amazing. You know, he doesn't always give tons and tons of information on each area, but he really gives you a beautiful snapshot so that you can investigate more of an area that you're interested in. It's really impressive.
Mordor because it looks like something straight out of Lord of the Rings. I stumbled upon this place by accident. I found some random tunnels that were used during World War I and had one of the most memorable sunsets of my life running around here. I mean, it's truly a magical place. After hiking in the Dolomites, we're going to visit Italy's capital, Rome.
Yay.
Now, Rome may be one of the most famous and iconic capitals in the world. Its history spans over 28 centuries, with its founding taking place in 753 BC. Ancient Rome's architecture stands today and draws millions of tourists each year.
Okay, let me know the inside information on Rome. You know, a lot of people are saying that Rome's been ruined between the tourists and graffiti and crime, and you know, Rome just isn't what it was 20 years ago. Let me know your thoughts on that. You know, if you have limited time in Italy, can you skip Rome, or are you out of your mind? You know, we want to see the important places, but we also don't want to just go everywhere a normal tourist goes. If that makes sense. You know, we want to see real Italy, real Germany, real Switzerland, real England and Wales and Scotland and Ireland. We don't want to see the Disney version, if that makes any sense. So let me know your thoughts on Rome. Just throw them down there in the comment section. Let's have a conversation. Because you know, kind of the same thing as Paris. It just, people have just told me that it's just not the same as it used to be. And I don't want to waste our time, because we have limited time in areas that, you know, aren't going to be as magical as they should be, when I can go somewhere else in the same country or the next city over or whatever that's, you know, gives you a better experience. Hope that makes sense. And I'm not putting down Rome or Paris. I'm just saying that's what I've heard, and I need some, you know, I need some opinions that are closer to the source.
One of the most well-known structures of the capital is the Colosseum. It's this oval-shaped amphitheater that was completed in 80 AD. It was the largest amphitheater built and could hold anywhere from 50 to 80,000 spectators. You can just marvel its structure from the outside or take a guided tour to witness the interior. One of my favorite attractions is the Trevi Fountain. It's a Baroque-styled fountain that was built in 1762. I mean, there's just so much to see in Rome. I hope you can all visit it one day. While we're still in Rome, we're going to head over to the smallest country in the world, from 50 to 80,000 spectators. You can just marvel its structure from the outside or take a guided tour to witness the interior. One of my favorite attractions is the Trevi.
You know, it's funny. I used to go to Vegas almost every year. I haven't been in a while, but I used to go. And watching this video, I can see the influence, you know, the Bellagio. We you know, you stay at the Bellagio or Venice, you know, or the Venetian, the Monte Carlo. You know, it all had this kind of look to it, but it's wild to see the source from where it came from. You know, obviously the Luxor in Vegas is not the same as the pyramids in Egypt, but you can see this, you know, the inspiration that's thousands of years old. I mean, it's wild. It's wild.
Trevi Fountain. It's a Baroque-styled fountain that was built in 1762. I mean, there's just so much to see in Rome. I hope you can all visit it one day. While we're still in Rome, we're going to head over to the smallest country in the world to visit Vatican City. Now, this country is completely surrounded by Rome. The Vatican is the headquarters of the Roman Catholic Church and home to the Pope. The population is made up of only 800 people. It was founded over 90 years ago on February 11, 1929. The St. Peter's Basilica is possibly the most magnificent building in the world. It's the world's largest church, and when you go inside, the detail is mind-blowing. Architects such as Michelangelo helped design it, and construction began in 1506 and was consecrated 120 years later in 1626. An interesting nearby town is Calcata Vecchia. Now, it's located about an hour outside of Rome. This small commune is built on a volcanic tuff, and in the 1930s, the town was condemned by the government due to the risk of the cliffs collapsing. But in the 1960s, the city began to be repopulated by artists and hippies who began to restore this medieval town. After, we're going to visit Javi.
How do you restore the cliff from not collapsing? They just changed their mind? They had better test equipment or something? Let me know. And how cool would that be, just to buy all that, just make it like a little compound? I know, what an American thing to say. But seriously, it'd be cool. Although I'd be afraid to stay there if it's already been condemned. I'd be afraid to stay there if it was certified, but to know that it was condemned because risk of collapse. Yeah, I'm just not that brave. I'm not Ryan. I don't do cartwheels on the top of mountains and stuff.
Vita di Bagnoregio. When it comes to hilltop towns,
Look at
this
that.
may be one of my favorites. Situated in the Valley of the Badlands, this medieval town was founded over 2,500 years ago. Due to erosion and earthquakes, Civita has been named the Dying Town. Today, only 12 people live here, but it has received a recent revival in tourism. I mean, such a fascinating little town. Afterwards, we're going to head down south to visit Naples. Now, shadowed over by Mount Vesuvius, Naples is a historical town dating back to Roman times. Naples is the third largest city in Italy after Rome and Milan, and is called after its Greek name Neapolis, meaning new city. Now, what's so great about Naples is that it's close to so many beautiful sites and cities. From Naples, you can make the 20-minute drive to witness the ruins of Pompeii. Now, Pompeii was founded in the 6th century BC, but in 79 AD, the city was buried under 6 meters of volcanic ash after Mount Vesuvius erupted. The ash almost perfectly preserved the town, allowing us to get a glimpse at Roman life. And it's definitely one of the greatest archaeological sites in Italy and the world. Now, there are several islands off of Naples, such as Ischia. Now, Ischia is known as one of the most picturesque islands within the Bay of Naples. It's also the most developed and largest island within the bay. I love the Aragonese castle on the island there. Now, right next to Ischia is the colorful island of Procida. It's the smallest island in the bay and less touristy compared to the other islands. It was featured in the movie The Talented Mr. Ripley and also won the Italian Capital of Culture. I mean, such a charming little island. Now, afterwards, we're going to visit the nearby Amalfi Coast. I have to say this is one of the most beautiful places, not just in Italy, but all of Europe. The Amalfi Coast is located in southern Italy, about a 3-hour drive from Rome. It's just hard to believe this place exists. One of my favorite places on the Amalfi Coast is Fiordo di Furore. This is one of the coolest beaches I've ever been to. It's located in this little fjord, complemented with an incredible arch bridge. It's a true paradise for cliff jumping. There's tons of spots you can jump from different heights. I had such a fun time setting some flips into the sea. The water felt so good to be in. Honestly, such an incredible spot. You gotta visit while you're on the Amalfi Coast. After Furore, we're going to take a walk on the Path of the Gods. This is a super famous hike, and with reason. You'll get some of the best views of the Amalfi Coast when you do this hike. Now, you start in this town called Bomorano and end in the village called Nocelle. All in all, the hike is about 8 kilometers long. It takes you about 3 hours to do. On the hike, you'll have incredible views basically the whole way. There's tons of ancient houses and hillside farms contrasted with the views of the coast. It's basically all downhill, which is super nice. If you do the hike, I definitely recommend doing it early.
I mean, there's no guardrails or anything, right? They just like, hey, you're on your own. Hope everything goes well. I mean, there is here, but then they just go away. Don't trip, don't faint, don't stumble, don't sneeze.
It's basically all downhill, which is super nice. If you do the hike,
Look at that.
I definitely recommend doing it early to avoid the heat and the crowds. It can get freaking hot up there. Now, afterwards, we're going to visit Positano. Now, this may be the most popular place on the Amalfi Coast, and when you go there, you'll understand why. It's full of beautiful colored buildings, shops, and a scenic beach. One of my favorite things I did in Positano was rent a boat. It's the perfect way to escape the crowds, and you'll get the best views of the Amalfi Coast. It cost about 180 euros to rent a boat for 3 hours, and while it was a little pricey, it was 100% worth it. We were able to cruise all over the coast and make stops along the way just to soak in the sun and jump to the sea to do some snorkeling. So I definitely recommend visiting Positano, and if you can, rent a boat. After cruising around Positano, we're going to visit the city of Amalfi. It's a beautiful town located in a ravine surrounded by daunting cliffs. Now, during medieval times, Amalfi was the capital of the maritime republic known as the Duchy of Amalfi and was an important trading power from the 9th to 12th centuries. While we were there, we explored the town. I really enjoyed the public square with all its restaurants, shops, and beautiful church. I mean, just such an incredible city. Afterwards, we're going to visit the small town of Atrani. Now, it's located right next to Amalfi, and I have to say that Atrani is one of my favorite looking towns in all the coast. The road that goes through it is just so unique, especially the part that winds around with its beautiful arches. A fun fact is that Atrani is the smallest city in all of Italy with a population around 800. I went inside the town and honestly there wasn't too much to see, but it said that Atrani is the only town along the coast that preserved its antique traditional characteristics. Another feature I really liked about the city was its beach. I mean, just a perfect place to soak up some Mediterranean sun. Afterwards, we're going to drive up the mountains to visit Ravello. Now, this is one of the highest set towns on the Amalfi Coast as it's located 365 meters above sea level. Ravello was founded all the way back in the 5th century and it was where the King of Italy lived for a while during World War II. I was pleasantly surprised by Ravello. I mean, it's just such a charming town. Now, while you're in Ravello, you can walk in alleyways or spend some time eating gelato in the public square. Definitely one of my favorite towns on the Amalfi Coast. Now, afterwards, we're going to visit
Do all these towns have like government? I mean, is there like a mayor? When you have 800 people in a town, is it an actual, body of government, or is it just they just call them towns and stuff, but they don't have mayors and what about like the police and the fire department and stuff like that? When you have these towns that have, 800, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people and they're way up on a cliff somewhere or whatever, how do they deal with that from a public service standpoint? An ambulance, that kind of thing. And don't say if you're in Italy, you're not gonna, nothing goes wrong. But seriously, if you're just kind of in these tiny little areas that are kind of secluded from each other, is there like a governing body that covers, 5, 6, 8, 10 of these places? Like a county. Like in America, we have, towns and cities and counties. And a county would be sometimes more than one city, depending on the size of the city. Let me know.
Traiano. Now situated right between Positano and Amalfi, we stayed several days here in an Airbnb and I really enjoyed it. It's not nearly as touristy as Positano, so I think it's a great place to stay if you come to the Amalfi Coast. Now while we were in Traiano, one fun thing we did is we walked down to the Spiaggia di Praia. You go through some narrow pathways and we made it down to the beach. It's a great place to chill and swim. I also rented a boat here for sunset and I just can't say enough, if you're on the Amalfi Coast, you gotta rent a boat. I mean, it may be a little expensive, but trust me, you're not going to regret it. You'll get the best views and you're secluded on your boat away from all the clouds and you really get to soak in the beauty of the coastline. While we were out there boating, I mean, it didn't even feel real. The scenery is just some of the most beautiful on earth. It's truly mind-blowing. Now, just off the Amalfi Coast, there's an incredible island called Capri. I think it's easily one of the most beautiful islands in the world. It's a classic Mediterranean island surrounded by crystal clear water and sheer cliffs. One of my favorite features of Capri is the Faraglioni. There are these incredible...
There's some big money in that water. There's a multi-million-dollar boats in that water. It's just a different lifestyle, Do the locals go to all these little beaches, or are they just kind of mostly tourist? Because it is interesting. They're very small beaches compared to what I'm used to. Obviously, between Florida and North Carolina or California. But they also don't look crowded. So are those just locals and a few tourists that happen to know about it, or do the locals just not even bother? You just take it for granted after a while. Let me know.
Incredible sea stacks that jut right out of the sea, and I just had such a good time jumping off the boat there and marveling at the Faraglioni. Another incredible spot on the island is Monte Solaro. It's the highest point on Capri, and you can take a chairlift to the top. You can do some little hikes up there, and you'll get some incredible panoramic views of the whole island, and I couldn't recommend it enough. Now after, we're going to visit the region of Umbria. Now located right in the center of Italy, I think Umbria is definitely overlooked as it's next to more popular regions such as Tuscany, but don't get me wrong, Umbria is full of hidden treasures. Now, the capital of Umbria is Perugia. Now, located about 2 hours from Rome, Perugia was founded all the way back during Etruscan times, which was around 300 BC. Today, it's a beautifully preserved medieval town with a lively student population thanks to the University of Perugia, which was founded in 1308. I really like the central...
My college was founded in like 1889 or something, and we almost brag about it, you know. 1300s. Wow.
Plaza with its 13th century fountain and medieval architecture. Now afterwards we're going to visit Spoleto. Now located about an hour outside of Perugia, Spoleto is a quiet medieval town full of charm. It is considered by some as the purest Italian city. One of my favorite features of Spoleto is the medieval aqueduct that was built in the 14th century. And it's
How? How is that built 600 or 700 years ago? And even if it was built 600 or 700 years ago, which I'm not saying that it wasn't, how in the world is it still standing? I can't comprehend it. It's calculus 2 in my brain. I can't.
Over 80 meters high. The Albornoz Castle is also an incredible fortress that overlooks all of Spoleto. Now, one of my favorite cities in Umbria is Assisi. Now, located about 30 minutes from Perugia, Assisi is a fascinating medieval town and the birthplace of St. Francis. My favorite feature of the town is the Basilica of St. Francis. It's one of the most unique churches I've seen. It was built back in 1253, and I love its countless arches that line the basilica. Now,
that's just beautiful.
St. Francis. My favorite feature of the town is the Basilica of St. Francis. It's one of the most unique churches I've seen. It was built.
That's pretty nice. Pretty nice. So much to see. I ain't gonna lie. America's bigger. Got more money. Got more power, more influence, everything else. More inventions, you name it, whatever. But we don't have stuff like this. I mean, you can go to Boston and Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. and, you know, and it's all interesting and it's all history, but it's not like this. All right, I'm going to end this video here. We'll go to part 3. I mean, it'd take me a year just to see everything in Italy. Let me rephrase that. It'd take me a year to try to see everything in Italy. All right, I'll see you in part 3. If you're new to my channel, it's anything and everything that interests me as an average middle-aged American. That includes international travel, learning about other cultures and other countries, learning more about my own country, America, and, you know, having conversations with people all over the world. I'll let you know more about America. You let me know more about your country, and we both learn something. Can't thank my subscriber base enough. The channel's growing pretty well. I love learning. I love learning every day, and I do learn every day on this channel. You know, yesterday I woke up at 3:15 in the morning, started commenting. Today I woke up at 3:15 in the morning, started commenting. Because it's always, you know, it's just on my mind. It's on my mind. You know, you guys are 6 or 7 hours time difference than me. So when you guys start, you know, you start commenting at 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, my time. You know, I'm on the East Coast in America, New York time zone, Eastern Standard Time, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it is, negative, whatever, GMT, whatever it is. I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate you. Hit that thumbs up. It helps me with the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. You'll love the channel. I'm telling you, you'll love the channel. Even when you don't agree with me on something, you'll still love the channel because we're just going to get better. We're going to learn more about every country that I can get my hands on. You know, it's a nice one stop for somebody who wants to do some traveling or, you know, learn more about America, learn more about Europe, and we'll expand it from there. But right now, my focus is on America and Europe. All right, I'll see you on the next one.